Welcome to Virtual Biology. Today we're going to quickly go over the important parts of the syllabus. We're also going to discuss e-portfolios in your presentation that will happen at the end of the year, as well as week one's assignments. To get started, the most important thing that we need to discuss is contact information. In the virtual environment, communication is key to success. There are a number of different ways that you can contact me if you have any issues throughout the course. The first one is email. My email is biomonsters@gmail.com. If that doesn't work for you, feel free to call. My classroom phone number is 434-245-2410. Or you can just stop by. I'm located in room B222. Typically, I stay after schools on Tuesday and Thursdays. If those days don't work for you, feel free to drop by, make an appointment, and we can work out a time that works best for you. We can also work out an appointment time via email or telephone. Now let's look at the course summary. Some important things to keep in mind about virtual biology as well as regular biology is that it's a fast-paced course, and that means you need to stay on top of your studies in order to be successful. Additionally, because we are virtual, there's going to be a lot of virtual activities that you're going to be responsible for doing either during the Flex Lab period or outside of the Flex Lab period. There are going to be many virtual laboratories as well as additional activities that you're expected to complete. On top of that, in our virtual environment, we really need to emphasize cooperation through collaboration. That means often on assignments, and this will happen every week, you guys are expected to work together in a collaborative setting in order to come up with correct answers. This will happen in a discussion board setting, or it can happen outside of a discussion board, depending on the curriculum that we're working with. There are some other things that are unique to the virtual classroom. One of the most important things when it comes to virtual classrooms is talking about technology. In order to work on the virtual course, you have to have all of your materials, meaning your computer, laptop, or tablet, daily. To coincide with that, if you're working on your tablet, you also need to make sure that you're bringing all the peripheral items in order to maximize the tablet's use. So you need to make sure that you're bringing your charger as well as your keyboard. On top of that, we're also going to need you to exercise some curiosity and creativity when you're working with different types of technology this year. We're going to ask you to use lots of different Web 2.0 tools, and in many cases, we're going to ask you to become familiar with those tools on your own, meaning you're going to have to feel comfortable signing on and playing around with that tool to get comfortable with it in order to utilize it to make your final product. Finally, when we're working in a virtual classroom, it's important to pay attention to the course calendar. If you notice on the course Moodle page, the course calendar is front and center right at the top of the page. You're also expected to use that calendar as well as the calendar in either your agenda book or another electronic format. It's important that you pay attention to your due dates because if you miss them, you'll be locked out of submission. The course topics that we're going to be discussing in virtual biology is similar to the topics that you would discuss in a regular classroom. And in fact, we're going to be going in the same sequence. So we're going to be starting out with the nature of science and experimental design next week after we finish up our intro to biology as well as to our electronic portfolios. From there, we're going to move on to biochemistry, where we're going to be talking about water and the macromolecules of life. After that, we're going to talk about cells, and in that unit, you're going to have to compare and contrast different types of cells as well as know different cell parts. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration. That's going to be a very short unit, a very tiny unit. After that, we have cellular division and genetics, which is going to take up a good bulk of our class time. And then we're going to move on to evolution, the web of life, which includes the kingdoms of life. And then finally, we're going to talk about ecology. After we wrap up all of those items, you're going to go into an SOL prep mode to prepare for the SOL. Like I said earlier, your course calendar is going to become very important for you. If you haven't already decided on what platform to use, whether it's going to be a Google Calendar like the one that I have posted on the course website, or if it's going to be a paper copy like the student agenda book, please make sure that you do so. Pick something that you're comfortable with and something that you can commit to using for the rest of the school year. Listed on the second page of your course syllabus is a list of topics broken down by week. You'll notice that things are highlighted in red. Things that are highlighted in red are going to be our module assessments. There's one module assessment for every unit, and we have a total of 8 that you're responsible for knowing by the end of the course. Although this calendar is not all-inclusive, this is a good skeleton to start with in your student agenda or your electronic calendar that you choose to use. Now I'd like to draw your attention to the little blurb right underneath where it says course calendars. It says a detailed weekly calendar of events can be found on the Biology Moodle site. You're going to receive a detailed calendar that's going to be broken down week by week. So for instance, if you go to the Moodle site again, you'll notice that there's a detailed calendar for week 1. Assignment due dates will typically be Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and postings should happen no later than 11:59 p.m. on that day, unless it's otherwise posted. Now let's talk about course assessments and quizzes. All course assessments and quizzes have to be proctored by either myself or the proctor in the Flex Lab. It is your responsibility, and this is highlighted in red on your paper, it is your responsibility to email the instructor to set up a time before, during, or after school to complete these benchmarks. All module assessments must be completed by Friday or the last day of the week of the assessment window. Each assessment window typically is 3 days, so you'll have 3 options. Typically it'll be a Wednesday, a Thursday, and a Friday unless we have an unusual school week. And during those times you can either choose to come in before school, during school, for instance your lunch or your flex period, or after school to complete the assessment. The last time that you can complete the assessment is Friday by 4:35. So be mindful of that and make sure you're proactive emailing me to set up an appointment to complete those assessments. You'll also notice that the assessment and quiz formats are varied. Some can include short answer, long answer, true false, fill in the blank, labeling, matching, and multiple choice. We have a little bit of everything and it depends on the module that we're working on, but be prepared to respond in any of those formats. Lastly, we need to talk about the culmination of the course, where we have a cumulative examination. At CHS, we have both midterms and final exams. The midterm and the final exam count for 20% of the final semester grade. If you look at our testing window, it's the same as CHS for regular courses. So it's going to be sometime between December 17th and the 21st and June 3rd through June 7th. It is once again your responsibility to email to set up an appointment to take your final and your midterm. It's also important to note that virtual biology is still an SOL course, and so students are still expected to pass the SOL at the end of the course. Typically, the SOL testing window happens in the middle of May. When I find out the exact date of our biology SOL test, I'll be sure to post it on the Moodle site. For right now, it's important for you to remember that we will have some prep time, but you also need to be keeping up with your studies as we move through each unit. Remember, biology is connected, so what we learn in week 1 will help you in week 32. In order to receive a passing score or proficient score on the biology SOL, students are expected to score a 400 or higher. If you have any specific questions about the SOL, please feel free to email me or stop by and I'll be happy to discuss it in greater detail. You will be receiving some more information as we get closer to the SOL examination window. The grading policy for the course is similar to what you have in your other classes. We follow the CHS grading scale to the T. You can refer to page 17 of your student agenda book if you want to find some more information regarding that grading scale. Our grading categories are as follows. Discussion boards count for 10% of your overall grade. Classwork is 20%. Assessments, laboratories, and projects all count for 50% of your final grade for the quarter. And then finally, we have our 5 Habits of Mind Biology e-portfolio presentation, which counts as 20% of your second semester grade. We're going to be spending some more time talking about our biology e-portfolio a little later on. And in fact, your biology e-portfolio is going to be your main project for week 1. Now let's talk about daily course materials. In order to be considered prepared for class, Students are expected to bring their technology. This includes their tablet, keyboard, and charger whenever you're reporting to the Flex Lab. This means that even though there's a computer there waiting for you, you still need to bring your own individual technology that was issued to you by CHS. Students are also expected to bring their agenda books to class every day. This is a CHS expectation and not just a virtual biology expectation. The electronic portfolio is the next thing that we're going to discuss. And again, we're going to discuss this in greater detail a little later on. But students are expected to keep a biology e-portfolio throughout the course. This portfolio will allow the instructor to assess student understanding and growth throughout the school year. In order to complete portfolio assignments, students must bring their tablets, tablet charger, and keyboard to class daily. We're emphasizing that for a reason. Please reference the Biology ePortfolio addendum for specific information about ePortfolio expectations and end-of-year presentation. And we're going to talk about that in greater detail a little later on. In terms of daily student expectations in the Flex Lab, please take time to read over what is expected of you when you're in the Flex Lab. The most important thing that I want to highlight is that you're expected to work for the full 90 minutes. Students who take advantage of the flex time tend to be very successful in the virtual environment. Students who don't take advantage of that time tend to have a lot of stress and really struggle when it comes time to completing assignments, quality assignments on a timely basis. Lastly, we have course policies and academic honesty. Quickly take time to read over the course policies. Again, we're highlighting the idea that you are expected to work for the full 90 minutes during your Flex Lab assignment. Often, that will not be enough time to get your work done, so please make sure that you're spending time outside of class completing your assignments. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or reach out to your proctor. The last thing that we want to discuss is academic dishonesty. Specific information concerning academic dishonesty can be found on page 10 of your student agenda book. Let me just quickly say this. In a virtual environment, it's key that students are provided with enough time so that they're not stressed when completing assignments. Students tend to get in situations where they feel compelled to do things that typically they wouldn't do and that they know are wrong when they're running out of time to complete an assignment. If that's something or a situation that you find yourself in, please feel free to reach out to me. There's always a way that we can deal with extraneous situations, but it's important that you contact and communicate with your proctor and also the instructor of the course.